Good afternoon. It is afternoon.
Yeah, wibbly wobbly, timey wimey.
Hello. I decided to make a video about what happened last night at the Women's Place UK meeting. Primarily because I want to have a rant. Sometimes just saying it out loud's like better than writing.
Don't question me.
More cathartic. If you aren't familiar with what happened last night at Women's Place UK, I'm going to play the video for you in a minute and we'll have a chat about it afterwards, but suffice it to say that a number of transactivists descended on the building to protest.
We are fed up!
And the behaviour was less than appropriate. So let's watch the video and then we'll have a chat about it.
You are not going to sleep at night. You can't make confidence. You can't make confidence, sir. I hope you don't sleep at night.
I hope you don't sleep at night. Do you know what, mate? Right, I'm going to tell you something right now. I sleep like a fucking baby. I do. Hang your head in shame.
And as a final humiliation, you must walk home naked, dragging behind you the stone of shame.
Hang your head in shame, Liz.
I have a nightmare of views in my dreams. I know really. Weird. Alright. In a bit.
Judy? Do trans rights matter? Well, of course they do.
Oh dear God. I mean, this is a meeting about how to keep women out of prison.
It is a meeting about how to keep women out of prison. Actually, I'm going to read you out, before we carry on, I'm going to read you out the details from the Eventbrite platform where you could book tickets for the event that happened last night, because I wanted to know what it was about and why Women's Place UK were meeting in the first place. The ruling handed down by the High Court in FDJ v Secretary of State for Justice shows that UK law does not work for women. Doesn't. In dismissing the claim by a woman prisoner who had suffered a sexual assault by a male prisoner whilst in a women's prison, the judges have exposed the failings of the UK criminal justice system and its blatant disregard for women's rights, safety, privacy and dignity. This meeting will discuss the neglect of women's needs and inherent sexism in the penal system, of which the callous disregard for women being locked up with male prisoners is just one facet, connected to others. We shall also look at the solutions and the need to get women out of prisons, a system designed around the containment of men. Yeah, I'm going to come back to that in a minute, that's absolutely right. By providing better, more therapeutic, sex-specific services and approaches. If you're able to do so, please consider booking a Solidarity or Super Solidarity ticket. I wish I'd known about it in advance because I would have done exactly that. The women in attendance are all very highly qualified women or women with loads of experience that's relevant to the subject. Women in prisons is a hugely important topic to me because, for all the reasons that most women are familiar with, if you're not already familiar, only 5% of the population in prison is female. Most of the women housed in prison are there for non-violent crimes, usually things like theft, sometimes non-payment of TV license. So I absolutely believe that prison is the wrong environment for, I mean, I guess you could say rehabilitation, but I also think that the issue is primarily the need to help women, because that's the motivation. Theft is so intrinsically linked to poverty, and particularly non-payment of TV license is just outrageous. And then to compare that with the male population, which is the remaining 95%, many of whom are violent criminals. Yeah, we need to be able to organise around that. We need to be able to talk about the specific needs that women have and whether or not it's appropriate to keep them in prison. Although one facet of that discussion is about the way that men who identify as women are housed in female populations. It's just one facet of a large discussion, a crucial discussion. I wish I'd been there for it myself, but I think it's a bit too far south for me. Anyway, yeah, so keep that in mind as we're watching this video, because this is a meeting between women to discuss the needs of some of the most vulnerable women in society. And this is the response.
This one's stunning and brave. They're protesting outside QE2. We were in space to begin national organisation, but they're intimidated to speak out.
I'll call the police, we're not going to attack you, we're just
Call Weight Watchers.
Don't worry, not
Call
all
Weight
of our
Watchers.
transgenders are
Weight
fucking
Watchers.
attackers, we're not going to attack you.
Like your body is not doing this. Like
Just
you
letting
want a
you
body
know
like
what
this,
issue.
but you got a body like
They're protesting.
your body is like.
We suggest you go in.
Besides, the police have got better
I'm happy to
things
film it
do.
if it helps.
There's probably a beautiful picture
I mean,
of the old lady. There's probably been magic at the moment. You're all going to be calling the police.
I say
Like literally police are protesting members.
I think it's not so. Yeah. No, thank. I just guess it's what's useful and what's they're making the point.
Grandma.
Oh God, don't.
Where to begin, really? I really want to watch that second individual again, if we can.
Call Weight Watchers.
Call Weight Watchers. So that's Call Weight Watchers. At the end, he called women grandma. So we've got misogyny, we've got some ageism. Because I think someone else was saying that in the background they were calling women cunts. So yeah, definitely misogyny. And we've got some fat phobia in there, and we've got some ageism. It's funny how this intersectional movement doesn't seem very intersectional when dealing with people they don't like, isn't it? I thought the purpose of feminism was for the women, even for the women that you don't like. That's the point, isn't it? It's for all women, whether we like them or not. Except that isn't how it is for these individuals.
Don't worry, not all of our transgenders are
Weight
fucking
Watchers.
attackers, we're not going to attack you.
Like your body is not doing this.
Your body is not doing it. What is this? What is this? Right. In fact, before I say that, we're going to watch the rest of it because it's crucial to the argument I'm about to make.
Just letting
You want a
you
body
know
like
what
this,
issue.
but you got a body like.
They're protesting.
Your body is like.
We suggest you go in.
Besides, the police have got better.
You want a body like this?
I'm bringing sexy back.
Well, it's not uncommon for women to compete with each other in that way.
So that's against the rules, and you can't sit with us.
But the motivation behind why women compete in that way is very, very different. Generally speaking, you have insecure women with very low self-esteem who interpret the world around them, and particularly when they come into contact with another beautiful woman, she will feel that her own beauty or her own value is diminished by the presence of that beautiful woman, and she may become reactive to that. I can't remember a time in my life when I've ever seen a woman react in that way, and I think the reason is because this is not coming from a place of insecurity, it's not coming from a place of low self-esteem, it is coming from superiority.
Would you fuck me? I'd fuck me. I'd fuck me hard.
And we need to listen very carefully when these men, and they are men, when they tell us these things, because it's important. He is telling us what he believes womanhood is. It is a voyeuristic interpretation of womanhood. It's from the outside in, it's womanhood through the eyes of a man. And that is slim waist, youth. Presumably, I'm going to take the cunt accusation and extrapolate from that a bit to mean behave in ways that men want you to behave. So docile, compliant, skinny, young women. That is his interpretation of what it means to be a woman. The comment he makes about the woman's body, let me just see what he says again.
Cool Weight Watchers.
Don't worry,
Cool
not
Weight
all of our
Watchers.
transgenders are
Weight Watchers.
attackers. We're not going to attack.
Before I do, I just want to comment on the fact that there's the guy in the background on the megaphone, and he's doing a hecking gaslight, friends, because what he's doing is he's saying, not all transgenders are going to attack you, we're not going to attack you, don't call the police, we're not going to attack you. And as he's saying that, this man advances forward and begins verbally abusing the women. That is a gigantic hecking gaslight there, really, and astounding, because there must be some degree of cognitive dissonance going on there where they think that what they're doing is not abusive or doesn't qualify as abusive because they believe they're on the right side of history.
Like, your body is not doing it.
Your body is not doing it. That's what he said. I was talking about this last night. Specifically, I was talking about men who write women. And in particular, men who write women in shower scenes. And there are key characteristics in these scenes, such as things like the parted mouth. You know, there's lots of sensual touching going on. In spite of the fact that these women are alone, they're depicted alone in the shower. And I think what it speaks to the misogynist's inability to conceive of a woman's existence that is not about his satisfaction, his sexual gratification, his titillation. He cannot conceive of a woman existing for her own benefit. And that's what this is. You need to change your body because it's not working for me, because I said it's not working. You don't exist in your own right. You exist as an object to be sexually stimulating for the men around you. You have no existence beyond that.
Technically, you do work for me.
This is astounding, this display.
Body like.
What's... You want a body like... What is that? I would be embarrassed to behave that way in public.
You're an embarrassment, though, to be honest.
Absolutely fucking abhorrent behaviour, and when I saw it last night, I was fucking seething. Interestingly, I went on to the twitter.coms afterwards to have a look and see what other people were saying about it. In fact, actually, I didn't go on to the twitter.coms afterwards. I found it on the twitter.coms in Julie Bindle's feed, and I saw a tweet from someone called Rebecca. Did not know at the time that Rebecca was a male who identifies as a woman. But anyway, the tweet says, it's a long series of tweets. Yeah, this was fucked up. I was there for about 10 minutes before leaving in shock. I don't get what the fuck they were doing. They tried to get me to speak and I felt incredibly uncomfortable around them. I think this is really strong, meaningful language, actually. So I'll say it here. The protest was wrong. The people with the megaphone were saying incredibly horrifying stuff. They were shouting at passers-by that weren't even going to the protest. I kept trying to back myself away as I didn't want to associate with them and wanted to find a chance to escape. Remember, this is a trans woman. They shouted verbal abuse at the security, demanding to know why they worked there. They were insulting people's appearances about why everyone was short. Like, what the fuck, as someone who struggles with her height. That hurt me too, even when it wasn't directed at me. I'm sorry, that's such a male concern, isn't it? It really is a male concern. Women aren't, unless women are like tall and they're bullied for being tall, women aren't concerned about being short particularly. And I say that as a short woman. It has genuinely put me off going to protests again, because I don't... Actually, let me go back, because I think it's more than that. It's more than that. This is, again, a bunch of men identifying as women who are holding women to the standards of men, and more importantly, they are putting up on a pedestal male presentations as representation of optimal womanhood. I had to say that. I didn't want to be associated with crap like that. They did more, but as I said, I was only there for 10 minutes when I saw the blatant abuse being spewed. I was in shock. I lied and said I needed to go shortly after that video ended because I didn't want to be associated with them, and honestly, I'm sorry for what they said. It might not mean much, and I wish I had the guts to stand up to them and leave sooner, but I didn't know that they were the perpetrators. We may disagree, Julie. Doesn't mean I or any other trans person can shout abuse, insult your height, appearance, etc. What happened is not okay. I still can't really believe it. I just think it's unacceptable for adults to behave in this way at all, to be honest. We have under Article 11 of the Human Rights Act, freedom of assembly and association in this country, which means that these women should absolutely be able to assemble and discuss issues that affect women, and they should not be intimidated or made to feel afraid for their safety whilst they do that. I was going to leave it there, but I went on Twitter while I was waiting for my videos to load, and there are more videos, so let's watch them and let's talk about it some more.
Hang your head in shame!
You should hang your head in shame. Right, so this is a different angle of the one that we were listening to earlier.
I'm a black woman, and you're standing with them? Hang your head in shame, you went through slavery!
Tell me you did not just say that.
Hi folks, this is Editing Daisy from the future. I was watching this back and realised that I probably need to contextualise my reaction to that. And what it is I'm just astounded that if these were black men outside of dressers, I think everyone would universally find their behaviour here quite unacceptable, but they're given a free pass because, well, you know why. But yeah, my reaction is I'm just astounded that anybody thinks that they can manipulate black women's emotions in this way. It's really unacceptable.
I'm standing with them now! Why are you laughing? Why are you laughing? These black women were raped and abused as well by a single woman. What, you're laughing your head off? Why are you laughing? Why?
You know, I heard this in the background of another video last night, and I said on Twitter what I'm going to say now. This really reminds me of the Atwood quote, but it's so true. Men are afraid that women will laugh at them. Women are afraid that men will kill them. And yeah, it's kind of really all I have to say about that, because I think it just explains so well what the issue is, doesn't it?
Excuse me! Yes, I'm black as well. Why are you not saying back there? Did you not be persecuted? Was you not persecuted? The same man you call us. Are you saying you might be raped? You're here at this black conference here, why? That's the question I'm going to ask. You're laughing at me, why? I've been persecuted and you're hang your head in shame. Hang your head in shame laughing.
Hang your head in shame for laughing. Like, this is just outrageous degrees of censorship and control, and the extent to which they think they should be able to control women's actions. I'm finding it really hard to understand what they say when they speak over each other, because I've only got one good ear, see?
It is the airmen, mother.
What have you got? Like, you wish.
Oh, you've not even got a bot. So what have we got? Compliant women with skinny waists who aren't old, who don't have skinny butts, who they must have a butt as well. So we're beginning to build a picture of what womanhood is, right? Oh my god. That is really fucking horrible. That poor woman.
You said that's your space, it's a fucking free space. It's actually a free space, darling, so every time you bring your space.
Yeah, it's a free space, it is a free space. But you are intruding on women's boundaries, and you are being belligerent, and you are probably frightening those women. I would be frightened in that situation with a man coming up to me and screaming at me to shut the fuck up, cunt, with a megaphone in my face. Yeah, I would be afraid.
No problem. No problem. This is natural. This is natural. What is going to the mouse house before that? What's the mouse toilet?
Shove the dinosaurs up your ass. We've got one saying that he just wants to use the toilet in peace. I think that, like, that is such a fucking disingenuous argument, to be honest, because aside from the fact that they just want to pee, and that's clearly what's happening here, right? I mean, fucking hell. Aside from that, they just want to pee. Okay, number one, why can't they pee around men? Is it because it's dangerous? Is it because they feel unsafe? Is it because they feel threatened in that space? Number two, if so, why the fuck does that become women's responsibility? I don't understand this argument. I have never understood this argument. If you don't feel safe in a space with men, the solution is not to force women to feel unsafe around men. The solution is to find a scenario in which you can feel safe without threatening the safety of other women. And to act in this way, as aggressively and belligerently as they are acting, does not make me think that they are the kind of people that I want to be peeing around, to be honest. Very angry cunt with the dinosaur. So I obviously haven't seen any videos from the other side of this. I presume some are floating around on trans Twitter, since the delightful chap in the pink jumper was definitely recording one of the women earlier. But I have been to events where transactivists have protested, and I have seen women behave very dignified in spite of the abuse that's levied at them. So, I mean, we would be able to hear the women screeching if that was happening, right? Angry cunts because they've decided to attend a meeting. This is just misogyny. It's misogyny and ageism, and, you know, this is just prejudice writ large. And I absolutely think that they are doing wonders for destroying their own movement, because the base premise that they say that this is about inclusivity for everyone is a lie. It's not. They don't give a shit about women. They don't give a shit about the elderly. They don't give a shit about lesbians and gay men. They don't give a shit about anyone who isn't trans, and that is abundantly clear the moment they are faced with someone who doesn't subscribe to their way of viewing the world, because all of that pretense of philanthropy just falls the fuck away. They don't give a shit about anyone but themselves. Break a leg. See, I hear women laughing. Women take this in their stride quite clearly. Like, I got a little bit emotional seeing the chap with the pink jumper screech at a woman like that, because I just think it is abhorrent, deplorable behaviour, and I would be ashamed to call this person my friend. I would be ashamed to know this person, because I don't think I would treat the most misogynistic men with that level of contempt. I can disagree with those men. I can think they are utter bastards for thinking that way. But you have to have respect for someone's personal space. It's not alright.
That's fine, get it ready and show my things inside. Just keep moving inside forward then. How's that?
That woman with the Adidas trainers there is an absolute fucking legend. Somebody needs to buy her a pint. I was outraged when I saw the footage from last night, just the one video, and I was not aware of the scale of this problem and the way the women were treated at the meeting last night. This is just disgusting behaviour, and I absolutely understand now why Rebecca reacted in that way and wanted to get the fuck out of Dodge, because who in their right minds would want to be associated with a mob like that? And that's all I have to say. Thank you for watching. Have a very wonderful day, and how bloody awesome is it here to hear about Marion Miller's case being dropped. The icing on the cake. What a great day. Later, taters.